Sat at home alone when suddenly you feel a presence around you. Have you ever heard something go bump in the night? No matter whether you believe in the paranormal or not, we've all experienced things that we can't explain. It's time to make sure your lights are switched on, because here are the 15 most haunted houses on Earth.
Bruh. Wait, what's the clock? It's 1 a.m., bro. It's 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m., bro. 15 most haunted houses on Earth. So if you're scared, then don't watch this, bro. Like, straight up.
Earth. Number 15. The Sallie House, Kansas. Built in the mid-1800s in Atchison, Kansas, from the outside the notorious Sallie House looks like any other. It is, however, considered to be one of the most haunted houses in the U.S.
I don't understand, bro. What does it mean to be haunted? Like...
And while it's possible to stay there overnight, all guests have to sign a waiver upon entry to take responsibility for any...
I mean, with all due respect, you know what I'm saying? Like... Just be respectful, you know what I'm saying? Like... Don't gotta do too much, you feel me?
Injuries they may suffer while on the property. The home once belonged to the town's doctor and was where he treated all of his patients. One day, the mother of 6-year-old Sally rushed in with her daughter in her arms after she had collapsed with abdominal pains. The doctor knew straight away that this was a case of appendicitis and that he'd have to operate quickly to prevent the organ from bursting inside her body. There was just enough time to give her some
Madness.
painkillers, but not enough to let them fully take effect. So as the surgery began, the house was filled with chilling screams from the girl. Unfortunately, the procedure failed, and Sally died on the operating table, with her final thought being of this evil man who she believed was torturing her. More than 100 years later, in 1993, a couple moved into the house and soon began experiencing weird events that appeared to prove that the spirit of Sally has been trapped there. Strange cold spots, unexplained fires, and mysterious attacks on the husband became common, as did technical malfunctions, objects seemingly moving on their
Like, this is not weird, bro. Like...
own, and animals refusing to enter some of the rooms.
Oh my god. Oh my...
Are we calling cap on this one?
On their own, and
My guy, that's a literal balloon. It weighs like a couple grams, not even. They should move. And she's like, oh my god, oh my god. Nah, bro. It's a balloon, bro. It's a balloon. My guy.
animals refusing to enter some of the rooms.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Number 14. Château du Brezac, France. Château du Brezac is a
Oui.
stunning building that
Ooh la la, français.
was first constructed in Maine-et-Loire in France in the 11th century as a castle.
Shout out to France.
With 7 stories, it's the tallest in France and has become a residence as well as a film set in subsequent years. But with so much history
Looks beautiful.
and gruesome events that took place within these walls, it's perhaps no surprise that many believe the place to be haunted. There are several ghosts that are reported by guests. The most
Bro, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean several ghosts?
common one being the Green Lady, said to be the specter of an illegitimate daughter of King Charles
Bro, that shit looks capped in a motherfucker.
VII. She was supposedly murdered in the chateau by her husband, who had caught her having
Rest in peace.
an affair. To this day, she's said to walk around the chapel and the rooms next to it, completely covered in a green dress and veil,
Look, are you dumb?
with holes where her eyes and mouth should be. Her moans and cries can be heard echoing
What you mean moans, bruh?
out across the entire building on quiet nights, which has resulted in
I mean, if she moans, bro, like,
the chateau becoming a very popular destination for ghost hunters and those wanting to test their bravery by staying overnight in one of the lavish rooms that retain all of their original historical features. Number 13, Hofty House.
like, until now, this is not, like, I'm disappointed, and quite literally my experience of haunted houses has been ruined.
House, Iceland.
Immeasurably disappointed.
The story behind the Hofty House in Reykjavik, Iceland, is a strange one because it was not only the site of an incredibly important historic event, but it's also been linked with tales of hauntings that have taken far more seriously than most. Built in 1909, it had several
It looks so beautiful.
famous inhabitants, such as the French consul at the time, and subsequently Einar Ben, an Icelandic poet. During the 40s and 50s, it was the location of the British consulate in the city, and then in 1986 it was the location of the Reykjavik Summit, which was a meeting between President Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, which paved the way towards the end of the Cold War. It was during this time as the British Embassy that it was first recognized as a mysterious place, however, with stories of ghosts and strange happenings taking place. According to local legend, it's haunted by the spirit of a young girl, although no one is sure
Of course, it's a young girl, like, madness.
who she is, except for the fact that she could be linked to the Viking burial ground that's supposedly beneath the property. The British representative who lived there, John Greenway, became so perturbed by the odd sounds through the night and paranormal events that he wrote to the British government to insist that the consulate was moved elsewhere. And his account was so compelling that later they sold the house back to the Icelandic government just a few weeks later. Even to this day, the official response to questions about the house is, "We do not confirm or deny that the Hofty has a ghost." Number 12, the House of Death, New York. New York has a number of properties that are believed to be haunted, but the most famous of them all is the ominously named House of Death in
Bruh, it's New York. What do you expect?
Greenwich Village. Built in 1856, to begin with, it was a popular place with the rich, becoming home to the family of a railroad tycoon. They eventually moved out in the 1980s, though, and it's since then the house became associated with strange happenings. In 1897, the new owner, a famous cyclist, experienced a moment of recklessness where he hit a young boy while riding and was subsequently arrested. He soon moved out of the house.
Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, to me, this slowly sounds like someone wrote, like, some mad stories. Like yeah, this happened, and that's the, like, that's what happens when this happened. You know what I'm saying? Like,
House, and the next
Nice,
resident
my
was
guy.
none other than Mark Twain, who also wrote of paranormal experiences, such as floating pieces of wood and peculiar sensations. Later residents reported seeing ghoulish shadows, visions, and strange noises, and then in 1987 something terrible happened. A young girl was killed there with repeated blows to her head, and the police that attended the scene reported eerie happenings and strange behaviors by everyone present. The parents were arrested and convicted with drugs blamed for their actions, but there has always been the suspicion that the strange aura of the house may have influenced their behavior, with strange events also reported in the neighboring homes. Is it possible that the dark shadow surrounding this house is now spreading?
what am I watching, bruh? Like, next.
England. The English countryside has a number of lavish, stately homes, and one of the most impressive of all is known as Rainham Hall. First built in the 17th century, it's become home to the Townsend family for almost 400 years, but is also believed to be one of the most haunted buildings in the country, and was the
If I get copyrighted, bro, I'll be sad.
Location of one of the most compelling images of a ghost ever recorded was taken. The Townsend family has been influential in English politics for centuries, with Charles Townsend marrying Lady Dorothy Walpole, the sister of the country's first prime minister, in the early 1700s. He was a notoriously violent man, and after finding out she was having an affair, locked her in the residential rooms and never again allowed her to leave. By 1726, she
Madness.
was extremely unwell and died of smallpox, and most people thought that to be the end of the story. Over a century later, however, during a Christmas party, guests at the hall encountered a mysterious entity, which is now known as the Brown Lady. Believed to be the spirit of Lady Dorothy, she mainly walks up and down the main staircase, which was the setting for the infamous image
Really? Like, out of everything you could have said, you said the brown lady.
captured in 1936 for Country and Life
Say less.
magazine.
Yeah, alright.
Does this truly show a ghost, or is it camera trickery? And either way, is it possible that the ghost of Lady Dorothy still walks the hall to this day? Number 10.
I'm disappointed.
Dragslom Denmark. Originally built in the year 1215, Dragslom Slot is a castle on the island of Zealand in Denmark. Intended as a use as a home, it
Shout out Denmark.
was upgraded and converted for several other purposes in the following centuries, such as a
Matter of fact, guys, if you see this, comment down below where you're from. Like, interested, you know what I'm saying?
fortification against invasion, and a prison, until it was blown up by rebels in the 17th century, and work began to completely restore it as a residential castle once more. With its many uses, there are countless tales of atrocities that took place there, from the torture of prisoners to the executions of innocent people, all the way through the 20th century, when it was used as a barracks during the World Wars, and some of the victims are still said to haunt anyone who sets foot there. With reports of 3 distinct ghosts,
Them victims is madly traumatized solely. Bro. Like, some madness happened, right? I was talking about the victims and how they're traumatized from their experiences, right? And my phone fell down. And my phone is not as stabilized right now on bro. Literally, I put my phone on a toilet roll, toilet paper roll, and yeah, nah, nah.
a grey lady, a white lady, and Lord Bothwell, who was one of Mary, Queen of Scots' husbands, had died on the castle grounds as a prisoner. Locals tend to try and stay well clear of the place, despite having now been turned into a luxury hotel. With a large number of guests each year, many of whom want the chance to see Canada.
Next.
For ghost hunters, one of the most accessible haunted houses in the world is the Carl Beck House in Penetanguishene, Ontario in Canada, because it's actually available to hire through Airbnb. The Victorian home was built in 1885 by a wealthy local lumber merchant called Carl Beck, where he lived with his wife and their 9 children. Beck
9 children, my guy. That is mad.
who also became mayor of the town, loved to display his wealth to others, so much so that he was the first in the area to own a motor car, a 1903 Oldsmobile that's still on display in the local museum. Things didn't exactly go well for the family, though, and his wife passing away from a mysterious illness which left his eldest daughter Mary to take care of her siblings while he continued running his business.
Bro, it ain't no... Bro, she brought 9 children to the world. Like, of course, she's going to be weak.
When he died, he left his entire fortune to his
You feel what I'm
children,
saying?
except for Mary, who was given just $1, and this led to her living a life of resentment full of hatred to the hand she had been dealt with. She died a bitter old lady, and it's believed that her ghost still haunts the home to take out her misery on anyone else deemed fortunate enough to own it. Numerous guests have reported experiencing supernatural events, such as objects seemingly moving on their own, strange noises, and chills in the air, something that has led Airbnb to advertise it as a haunted house and provide an ideal place for people to see quite how brave they are. Number 7. Leap.
Nah, G. I'm disappointed. Like, this has been a cool video on that, but I'm gonna find some better videos because this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it.